for 7 years before this year I asked to go into the classroom for each purpose. I'm lucky enough to have a phys ed ex-phys ed as a principal, so I'm sort of get a little bit better reception when you kind of understand what we're talking about. So, let's load it up. This is what happens with technology. Alright, one thing I was going to show you that obviously no one's got something to share. It's something with the post-it notes and another program, but I'll come back to you and show you that. Something else. I do apologise now if I overwhelm some of you or all of you, or at some stage you just feel overloaded by what I might show you. I don't see myself as a guru or an expert in any shape or form. I just have taken on technology to see what it can do for me and what it can do for the kids, and I've been asked to share what I do. So that's all I really see myself as. I don't know everything, and I don't think that I know everything. And if you've got a question that I don't know the answer to, that I'm happy to see if I can find the answer for you. And that's the thing that I definitely don't think I'm a guru in any shape or form. So this is just a little clip that I found that really sort of hit home for me for a few things. So this is going to work.
Do you have like a quiz to
Yeah, it was. I do. It was up on the thing. It's just called Youth Conference.
Yeah, I found that, but it said password.
Tim was supposed to show that, but he didn't do it very well.
So, like here.
Yeah, Youth Conference. That's you connect. So not that one. Youth Conference. So yeah. So password.
Both for me, to give you an idea, I've been in a special school, a secondary school. I was born in London, and I came back to Victoria when obviously iPad started to be the big craze, and what we really have an iPad. With Victorian schools, you can go and apply for teacher professional leave, and you can research, and it's changing over 50%. You can research something that you're interested in. So our region, as a group of teachers, went along to look at handheld devices and what they could do for us. So that's sort of where it came from and where it sort of stemmed from in everything I do. And I just look at it from the perspective that, and that's why that clip was so important to me, because I look at it from the point of view that we're not going to get rid of technology. It's going to be there. The kids know it's there. They know it's there and they want to use it. And as much as we shouldn't forget that we are teaching to be there, and it is a physical skill, and it is outside, and it is moving around, we can still use technology for ourselves and for the kids to still get the same thing happening, but also engaging in something that they currently are using. So that's sort of where I came from in my thought process. So I try to use what I do just to save time or make it more interactive in a session. When I thought with it, I didn't always use it. I didn't always go, right, I have to have technology every lesson all the time. I've got to be in there, I've got to do it, and I've got to use it here. There's lessons that I didn't use it, but it's just there, and while it's there, I thought, well, why can't we make the most of it and use it for our advantage? So that's kind of where my thought process went. So yeah, that's who I am. The sheet point of grant got it. As I said, I'm very, very happy to help in any shape or form. As I said, I've taught in different settings, and from being able to take the teaching professional leave in the government system, I was awarded 25 days paid to go off and do whatever I needed to do to find out about my chosen area. So the school got the CIT money, and I just had to put in when I needed to go off and go to a PD or go visit a school that's already doing things, or go visit someone. So I'm not sure if the Tasmanian system has that or not, but that is the system that we have. I can only ever go for it once, so my time's been done. I have to tick that box and move on. Just a thought, and I only think this because some visitors obviously have been in the job for longer than I have. Do you really think there's a place for ICT and PE? And I'm sure there's people in the room who are thinking, not sure why I'm here because I really don't think ICT's got anything to do with phys ed, and I'm not sure how it could even help me and help the kids. And that's a valid point, especially for people who haven't grown up with technology or have it at their fingertips to even know what it does for you. This is a little clip of the day in life of me as a phys ed. There's a kid in the back getting himself in trouble if you want.
Why are you actually putting that in the video?
You got in trouble.
That's
I love it. Anyone who doesn't really use technology is getting a little overwhelmed, feeling like that's really impossible, I don't think I can do that. It is, and it does take a while. So that's definitely not when I started. That was definitely quite a bit into it when I asked to share it the first time. And you've got to remember that technology, like anything, you need to be confident you're using it, and then using it in front of 30 kids to then keep going with it. So the real simple message that I'll hope you take away is that choose one thing. That's why I didn't necessarily give you all the slides. I just gave you a piece of paper with different things that I'm talking about, because at the end of the session, you're not going to walk away and put 10 of these things in place and go, yes, that's it, I'm using it. You're going to choose something that works for you and you're going to start stepping forward with it. You're not going to run everything at once. This is just to give you that broader picture and that bigger picture of where technology is going and where we can actually take it. So as you saw, my lesson didn't change. I still taught hurdles. I still taught the little kids that I just used the technology to help me and to help them out. I'll skip the next slide. I might come back to it if we've got time. There's another great little clip about where the 21st century learning is going. Still a great one. So we've got time here and go play it. So when did I start? I started small and simple. I didn't go big. Every year that I put something in, the next year I made it bigger and better. So I did start really small. I did start really easy. I did just use a spreadsheet to collect something or something like that, and then next year think, oh, that's that. What's next? What can happen? I make it better. How can I get to that next step? The question I've been asking for is, how did I get my staff to do it? Obviously, being a phys ed role in a primary school with 460 kids, I was sole phys ed, so how did I get a team behind me? I don't know how I did. To tell you the truth, I don't have a realistic answer. I had a couple of people that were sounding boards to me, and they're always good to have, because they'll go, no, that's not going to work for drinking. But then I think it was just the fact that I just walked up and said, here's the iPad, record what you want on there for me today, and they just gave it a go. And for them, I made it as simple as possible as well. So I didn't actually do anything big and fantastic. I just kept them informed and asked and made it simple for them as well, and they took it on. So that's really first thing I want to talk about. Does anyone use Google Drive? No. Oh, okay. All right. So that's really Google Drive's free. What? Google Drive's free. It's great because it's got about 15 gig storage on it for you. It's sheets, it's documents, it's forms. It's all online. You can access your files online as well. You can share them collaboratively. so you can work on the same document at the same time. You can use your own email address. You don't have to create another email address. You can actually use your own in the same one and keep going. So Google Drive, the main reason that I started using it was it has Google Forms. Who in their day-to-day role in their data collects data from students or staff or parents that you then have to sit down and go through page by page. Or people to put the data in for you to give you a spreadsheet. Okay, so if I click on here, so it's going to work there. This is a sample form. May take a second. So you think about, I know in Victoria when we do our in-school sports, we give the kids a choice. You can play basketball, cricket, softball, t-ball in summer. Which one would you like? Or which is your top preference? Which is your second? Which is your third? Which is your fourth? Then you sit there and you've got to calculate it all, and you tally it all. Now, don't do that anymore. Set up a form. The form is very simple, straightforward, and I say that in total honesty. You follow the clicks, or you ask someone to sit down with you to teach you how to follow the clicks and the prompts. It says it all very clearly for you. Then, you have your own form. As long as you have the internet, you've got the form, they fill it in, and it's sent to you as an Excel document, and you're done. Then you hit the sort button and your team's sorted for you. So those 5, 10, 2 days, whatever time it was taking you, comes down to about half an hour. So I did this during a sports section for the very first time. Frantically thinking, oh my god, this is not going to work. I had 100 and something students on at once, all putting in their selections by recess. I had all the kids who were in there that day in a team, waiting for the kids who were absent to then slot into where they fitted in. So that's how simple it is. Okay, but you think about how you could use it. It's not just Google Forms. Obviously, you can see having groups when we did camp, we did the same thing again. They were able to access. There's different ways to get the link out. You just need the URL to be shared out. Obviously, lots of different ways to do that. First time I did it, I put the URL on our school website. The kids just went and clicked on it, then I removed it when it didn't need to be there because I have access to it. Another time was we sent it around in their email system. My school, the kids have email systems in grade 5, 6. Another way we've done it is I think the keybox one. Yeah, so you probably within your system you can find something that works, or you can just have one computer set up with it there, ask the classroom teacher one at a time, can you get them to go over and log in and put their selection in for me and get it done. So it doesn't even need to be done in your business lessons taking valuable time out, or in your sport lessons, it could be that time when there's a lesson running in the class. Right, one by one they put their selection in and they're done. Whoop, probably this stuff. And then I'll show you the end result of what it looks like. Sorry. Just shows you that you can't rely on people together. So I've used it for categories, I've used it for supporting team selection. Last year when I was injured and I was unable to sit at a computer for a long time and I needed to collect all my information for my athletics day, I just got the kids to fill it in for me, so then the data was there. The data was there for me, I just got the Excel spreadsheet. So this should come up with a spreadsheet that looks like as your end result. So once all the responses are in, this is what you end up with. Whatever your headings and questions were right at the top, and then it will be all filled in for you. So this, as I said, was my athletics for 12 grades, 10 grades, already in there, ready for me to go. They put their age group, it was all there. So now I can just copy and paste and put that data and start using it, not sit there and enter it all or do anything with it. It was all in there for me. Yeah, the sports teams one is a good one. So I just on the drop down list, they just have to choose which sport they wanted first. can see, and then I just select it all using the spreadsheet system of sorted by column C, sorted by column, whatever column I wanted, it grouped all the ones I wanted together, and I could see who wanted what straight away, and it all organised. So if you've got a spreadsheet guru in your school, which I do, when it comes down to this and you're not sure, I know a lot of people are a little bit hesitant about using Excel, go to someone who has even the smallest amount of knowledge of Excel, and they'll be able to help you sort that data pretty quickly, and you'll be able to learn that process pretty quickly. So who now, using the thought of what Google Drive and Google Forms can do, who already has got one thing they can walk out that door and actually change something in their system, save them hours and hours of what they do. That's the bit I like. So the next thing, because I know you've been sitting for quite a while today, is that I'd like you to stand up. Sorry. So it's something very simple, an app on your phone or your iPad, being a dice. My students and I came up with dice yardstick. So basically, my school only has a very small space as a hall, so we're doing a bit of fitness stuff. So hopefully this comes up. We came up with 6 quick activities for the dice, and because I wasn't in control of the dice and I didn't want to carry a dice around or anything like that, there's a dice app. So we would roll the dice, and whatever it lands on is, I've got it in front of me, out of the 6 numbers, so 5 was squat, so you guys need to sit down and stand up 5 times. So you sit down and stand up. Best thing was when I did it with my kid, we had, and they got 2 activities, they had burpees as one of them, and I don't have control of that, and burpees came up about 3 times in a row, and I was like, it had nothing to do with me. So 4 is jump, so you jump 5 times. 5 times. I set that as a numbers is not the activity. Yeah. 2 was touch toes 5 times. I'll do one more. Then the last one again. Touch your toes 5 times. So there you go. That's just something using a very simple app that you can be outside, you can be inside, and you can, do it in a bit. And the kids can be involved in the process as well, just using that little bit of technology in there. So it's long I put that on this one. This particular one I can never find again. So on this sheet here, I can give some more information on how to find it. Sometimes apps aren't so easy to find as people think they are. So we'll put them in the system not that easily. Has anyone seen the human body app? No? This is another little fun one. It does cost, but I find it's a really good one. Sorry while I change things around. Okay, this is a really good one, usually for kids to see the skeletal system and visual representation of it. It also, the other thing I liked about it, also was that it zooms in on different parts of the body for the different systems, but it also allows you to move the legs as though it's running to see the heart actually pumping at the same time as the movement and the connection between the two. It's just a good fun little app. So all down the side of the different systems and different things. The body for the kids, so the lungs, and you can go through. So it's just a fun little app for the human body, but I just felt the representation of the app is really good for the younger kids and really touching, easy for them to see. Probably it's probably been updated since I last used it. You can see the heart pumping away and breathing. Yeah. So when you go to the skeleton, you can actually make the bones drop away from the body. And then they have to put them back in the same spot. But I felt that was really great to teach these kids that our bones hold us in position because the body drops away. So I just thought that's a really good app. They've got 2 apps, but I found that one was I really like that for the younger kids. I'm sure the older kids love it too, but. Okay, put your hand up if you've heard of this app or use this app. Or not many, okay, I'll be pressing more. I went through a process of trying to find and ask for an assessment book for ages. I got caught up in the ones that were based in America and were very structured to the way Americans do things. I got caught up in the ones that were based in the English, and I got caught up in, you have to have it certain ways and certain, columns and certain timetables and things. When I came across this one, it gave you complete freedom and the flexibility to really set up a timetable and an assessment book that suited your needs. It allows you to add student photos for every single student that you teach. So instead of having a class list with just a black and white name, you can put a picture of that kid beside it. And so when you go back to sit down for reports, you don't have to say, which Isabella was that? Or whoever had my class at the moment has 3 agents in it. So which agent was I thinking about on that particular day for that comment that I wrote down? It puts it beside it. That's the app that I use to record the video. I did a lot when I first started, just using the common camera video capabilities within the iPad. Then I found that was really difficult when you sat down to write reports and you had to flip through and try and find the grade that you were even looking at, and then try and flip through and find the one kid out of the 24 that you were trying to look at. These allows you to, with a very simple, very few taps, to get into record a video, very short one, whatever it is, to the kid's name in that assessment book page. So you think about the, we call it e-cases, system in the office where I go in and say, can I have a class list with checkboxes beside it, please? And I ask you to ask for it all the time, so you use it all the time. Think of that particular sheet, that plain piece of paper. Now think about it in a digital form where beside each name is now a photo, and beside each column is exactly what you want to do for the term. And you can enter a number, you can enter a comment, you can enter a video, you can enter a photo, and it's all sitting in there, so that when you sit down in 6 months' time to write reports, you bring that grade up, you click on one, you have a look at the video, you click on the other, and you write your comment. I went from writing maybe a class of, in the P2, a class of kids in the P2, maybe an hour and a half, to about 40 minutes. Because I honestly had it at my fingertips at a second on the video. Yep, I remember from that. Yep, I remember that here. Yep, I remember that. Yep, okay, bang. Whereas before it was going through, sifting through, finding it. And before that, it was in works because I had to understand what scribble I'd written down on the piece of paper to understand what that actually meant. Let me go to that. Okay, so I'll show you the app running. The depth of this app will probably be quite low for what you will use it for. The sample class that he puts in there has all these calculations that rely on the column before, and it calculates and it averages and does all these wonderful things that are fantastic, but not relevant. Well, it might be, but I might be relevant. So if I look at this, there are all my grades, all individually put in, and I didn't do this, but I was playing around. You can colour code them if you like, that when you go to your schedule, when you put them in, you colour code them across and put them in. As you can see, that is what my school timetable is. I can put it in exactly as my school timetable. When I was in high school, my bell at the end of the day ran at 3:01 every single day. That was the timetable we had. If that's what your school is set up as, you can do that. Whatever your school is set up like, you can have the freedom to have it exactly as you want on your page. If I had this set up at the moment, obviously I don't this year, if I had the grade set in the timetable, I could actually just click on the grade from this timetable and it would take me to the assessment that I was working. So you can run it, links it together. When I go to a grade, as you can see, the faces down the side, the name is nice and clear, different symbols for different things, however you want to set it up. If you put doesn't mean I did the assessment the right way. If you put, if you have a black corner in, it means you've added an attachment to that cell. So, and I don't put it there at the moment because this is the iPad that I've smashed. And so it's have to take together. I learned the hard way. When you click into it, it tells you down the bottom that there's an attachment there. Click on it, and if the video was still on my iPad, it would be sitting in that little box, and I just put it in place. So the process of getting in and out in this particular app is very short. A couple of taps you're into something, a couple of taps you're out of something. To do your attendance in here, you can say attend all and then put the odd kids as absent. There's lots of little fun little quick nifty ways of using this app. So, and that you can create styles. Yeah, you can do what you like. That's what I mean, the flexibility of it. So you can put smiley faces. You've got lots of little icons in there. The other great thing about this app that I love is that I have emailed him numerous times, maybe about suggestions or I can't get this to work, and I've no word of a lie, 24 hours, I've got an email back, and not an email back that says, thanks for contacting us, a paragraph with an answer. He's fantastic at helping out with his app, and he keeps updating it, and he keeps listening to the people that are saying, how about this, what if I could do this, and he keeps writing it in and keeps improving his app. I know every school does things differently. I know we all have different systems. It's the same when I share this app with people in Victoria. Oh yeah, but our school doesn't want to use this. That's fine. I'm not saying it's the be all and the end all. I'm just saying as an option, as a presenter, I found this app so valuable to me that when I sat down and I had 28 grades to report to, all I had to do was bring that up in front of me. I had my iPad sitting here and my computer sitting here, and I just looked through and just went through the grades. It was just at my fingertips. So that's why. The other reason it became quite helpful, I had a student in prep who was, the life of me, I could not figure out how she was doing it. It didn't make any sense to me, the process that she was using, and I couldn't figure it out. And I'll show you in a minute. I used to record them at the start of something, at the end of something very quickly. I used to hate taking a whole lesson to do assessment, especially when you have them once a week. I was lucky enough to have them an hour a week. But even then, I hated killing an hour just as assessment. And I went into the teacher and I was like, I can't figure it out, I don't know what to do. Well, the next day the parent came in and said, can you forward that email to me, that video to me, because we're going to the pediatrician and we need that information to show them that there's something really wrong with blah, blah, blah. And so from then they got the child got more. So your emails are valuable for many different reasons, and that was a really prominent one. So she's obviously got more help since then to what her issues were, but the emails have just been, I know as primary presenters we don't have many parent interviews where we actually sit down with the parent and show them, but if someone does say something, you do now have evidence to say, I know your kid's really good at cross country, but they haven't involved, see? So that you don't have that, they do so well. Yeah, great, everybody in Australia loves that's good. There's other aspects to be there, and there's evidence that gives you that link to what you're actually trying to teach them, and trying to teach the parents, and trying to teach the teachers. So this is what I use. This is my personal choice. It's just any iPod, and I found this on eBay for about $20. The first one I found on eBay is why I smashed my iPad and did a pretty good job with it, I got told. This one is a little bit better because it's got those little arms that come out to hold it in place, so it's just personal choice, that's just what I did. So I used to set this up and have it sitting there, and because it's an easy, just a couple of taps. I used to do a station work for my assessment, and so I used to just, for this one day, put them in their roll order in groups. So every 4 or 5 was actually in their roll order, so it made it easier for me. And then I can stand here and just tap and record, but still see what's going on in the rest of the class and still have very important activities happening in the rest of the class, not rubbish activities just so I can get this one kid's assessment done and yeah, they'll be alright because I know they'll give me something really low to do and I'll manage through that, that's alright. I actually just have my normal stations going with my normal activities and I can still tell the kid over there or yell out some feedback to that kid over there because I was just tapping it over through the just at the station or whatever. So that's what I used, but that was, again, I know you can hold it, that's all very well, but I found it really difficult because I've got MP3s that are hard for me to hold an iPad for a long period of time. So that's what I went for. There's lots of different systems out there. There's more since I bought that. That's just what I use. Any questions about this app from anyone who's thinking, because I do know it costs about $6.50, somewhere around that range. Any questions about what you might be thinking that will work for me?
For the photos, do you usually have to take them?
No, he does have the capability of face recognition. I haven't used it because all I ever did at the very start of the year, the initial ones, was I'd stand in the line and just take a photo and say hi to them as I there, and that's it, was there for years. So there's different ways to get around it, but yes, I do believe that if you upload photos or a class photo to your iPad, it does have face recognition that you can just tap and drag across. Yep.
The videos that are attached to a cell in this, how easy is it to export them into?
Really easy. Yeah, originally everything went into your camera roll anyway. You can email from within this program. You can set up the individual student's file with an email address to it, so you can actually send it straight to them if you have fast emails. Yeah, so it's very easy, and the backup system has improved immensely. You can back up to Google Drive, you can back up to Dropbox. So when I did smash my iPad and have to be reset and redone, all I had to do was restore from a backup that was sitting in my Dropbox account. So he really thought about how teachers want things to work and how they do work, and the backup system and that sort of thing. So I haven't had a problem with restoring from a backup yet. That's good. So that's why I love this app so much, and I'm happy to share it because I haven't had many problems with it. Obviously, like anything, you know, you're going to get glitches, you're going to get things like that. You can't do it all, and you can't. It's not 100%. But as an app for an assessment book on the go, this is the one that I would recommend as a primary visitor. Did you say who said they were using it? How did you find it?
No, it's very good. I started off sort of want to do this but it's all really easy, importing student names and things like that.
No, I haven't done that. That's a bit deeper.
Yeah, so you don't need to log in.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you've got an Excel file of all the names, you can just import straight across. You don't have to do any of that either. So, yeah, be nice to your office and stuff.
Because also it's proximity to left, the photos.
Yeah.
The photos and post classes will be left.
Yeah. And you're just going to spend a little bit of time. I used to do it over Christmas, spend a little bit of time getting it right. So when you get to day one, you have all your classes in, all your photos in, you're set. So I'll move on to next. QR codes. Anyone heard of QR codes? Yeah, so they're what they are. I'll just breeze through now and show you some more stuff. I use this mainly for orienteering. So I used to put QR codes around the school. They have little messages in them. The kids used to run off with an iPod, scan it, they'll tell them where to go next, and they go off to the next one. I've used a map, I've used cryptic codes, lots of little things like that.
I'm also saying that
Yeah, it's sensitive URLs. I've got some to put up, but I ran out of time. I might put them up around the trade centre so that you can go around if you've got a QR reader, you can scan it and it'll give you that link to that particular app. I know some of you are feeling really overwhelmed and I apologise. Twitter being a really good resource. It's probably where I learned the majority of what I know. People put stuff up. This one's a really good little video by Joe Fight. He's fantastic. He started up chat, which is a hashtag to a conversation happening on Twitter. His little video of explaining what Twitter is fantastic. So if you're not sure what it is or haven't got your head around it, that little clip is fantastic. Usually what I do is, I don't really tweet a lot, but what I do is I'll go into people, like I'll go into ACHPERTAS Tasmania and see who's following them to say, oh no, I want to follow them, I want to follow them. So I just jump on someone else's to find out where the people are that I'd like to follow. Immediate feedback, obviously there's your camera, there's Idosio, there's Coach's Eye, or the free version which is UberSense, and fan video delay. So I won't play these, but These are little videos that when they play, we're drawing on the screen and talking about where she's released the ball as the pitch, and she can see that it's released up here, and that's why the ball's going up here, and she needs to release it back down here, and she can see that straight away. I use that more on a one-to-one and a group aspect than as in whole grade and that's the one you saw in the clip. Sport education, I found a great app called Tournament Maker. It's on both or all devices that I can see. It does the tournament for you, as in the fixtures, the ladder, everything done for you, which makes life a little easier when you don't have to actually do the ladder as well. Comic Life, strangely enough, I found really good. I agree that we need to bring kids a little bit forward in our curriculums, in our schools' attention. So last year I came up with the idea that if you use Comic Life to take some photos and put in the key teaching points of that skill, the kids could make me some posters about the skills that they were learning that particular time. Obviously they know how to use Comic Life better than I do, so they were able to produce me. I don't have any of theirs with me, but they were able to produce for me some athletics ones, and I was able to put up the teaching points of the discus throw and shot put and that sort of thing, and some photos of the action shot of what's happening, and I was able to put them up in the posters around the school to really show what we were doing. So these are just a couple that I put together during the OT Nat 6 unit last year. Other little apps that show you things who's ever had children trying to teach grade 3 and get ball and where the positions are in the court and where to run and that sort of thing. There's great little apps that actually show you that, put little people in the field and you can actually show them where things are and that sort of thing. So it's just a matter of going through and searching for apps that will work on your device and for the kids. These are quickly little ones that I've got online at the moment. Obviously, the big picture, the ideal world, you have an Apple TV or a projector or a TV in your hall, and you'd be all wireless, and clearly I'm not, and you'd have one-to-one devices, but that's not the big picture for us. The big picture for us is that we might be the only person in the room that has the iPad, and that's fine. Just find a way that it works for you and for the kids to give them better feedback, to collect better evidence for you for your assessment, and to cut down on that amount of time that as us visitors spend doing admin before what people perceive as just to just throw out a ball and play a game. We all know in this room how much time we spend on phys ed. It's just everyone else's perception of what we actually do is different. The main thing and the last thing I'll say is keep it simple. Don't come from these thinking that you have to go and do all this and you have to implement all these acts and all these wonderful things and you're going to change your things. In your head right now, choose one or circle one thing off that piece of paper I've given you. One thing, whether it's the Google Forms or whether it's just the one app. Choose one thing and work with one thing at a time. Once you start to gain the confidence, you'll start to run with it. But choose one, get the confidence up in that particular thing that you're wanting to use. Because as we all know, we've got 30 kids standing here watching us. Who know how to use an iPad, who know how to press the button, and you stand there going, I don't know what this is, I don't know what I'm doing. Take your time, get your head around one aspect. Get your head around one aspect, then move on to the next one. I've been doing phys ed with the iPad, I've probably been doing it for about 2 or 3 years, and it's only really this year, and now I'm in the classroom, where I don't use pen and paper much. But it's taken me that long to move away from using my pen and paper. I would still go to presentations and have my iPad and my pen and paper beside it. And that seems really ridiculous, but it was really hard to let go of picking up a pen and writing on a piece of paper. But I've slowly moved away from that. So that's only a small snippet now, of what you can do and what you might be able to do. I'm happy for you to ask if there's something else around you're thinking of or seen, and I'm happy to help out. And please feel free to email me anytime. I'm happy to help anyone or work anything through that you might be thinking. So thanks for coming.